name is Kevin. I am coming from behind the whiteboard to you. And I'm coming to you from Magoosh.com. Today we're going to talk about semicolons. A student wrote in one of their comments, was like, what is a semicolon? What do I do with this thing? I don't understand it. Which is okay, because it's a weird thing. It's kind of weird if you don't know what's going on. I will preface this video that the GMAT doesn't test your knowledge of semicolons. You're not going to be like, how to use a semicolon. But it's definitely useful to know how they're used. You can use it in your essay if you know how to use it well. And it'll just give you a good sense of knowing how a sentence is being put together. So, simply a semicolon is a type of punctuation, but it's a type of punctuation that lives inside a sentence. There's external punctuation or punctuation that ends sentences, like periods and question marks. And then there's punctuation that is inside a sentence, like a comma, a dash, or a semicolon, like this little guy. And its main purpose is to separate major elements in a sentence. That's it. Separating major elements in a sentence. There's three main ways that a semicolon is used, which I have listed here, and some examples. So let's go through them. You can use a semicolon between independent clauses without a conjunction, with no conjunction. So you can usually join independent clauses with a comma and a conjunction like and, or, but. Your other option is to drop all that and just use a semicolon. So, for example, here we have, we wandered through the forest most of the day. There's our semicolon. Sunlight burst through the treetops to light our way. So, the semicolon is joining, connecting these two independent clauses. The theme or topic of these two independent clauses is very closely related. And I could replace the semicolon with a comma and. So I could say most of the day and sunlight burst through the treetops. So that is one way that you see semicolons used. This is one of the more common ways. You can also use it between independent clauses with a transition or a transitional word. So here we have fog continues to cover the airport, semicolon, transitional word, consequently, wow, that was hard to get out. All flights have been grounded. No one can fly. So here again we have two independent clauses, and this time semicolon plus a transitional word that is telling us that due to something that's happening before, there's something that has happened now. So this is another one of the more common ways to see semicolons used. It sounds a little bit better than saying fog continues to cover the airport and consequently. It's a stylistic choice. Both would be correct, but some people want to drop the conjunction and just use the transition word, so you want to use the semicolon in its place. Okay? Any questions? Put them in the comments. And the last way that you'll see semicolons used is to replace commas in a list. I'll say this is something you don't see so often because you don't tend to have lists that have commas in them. So that's really when you're replacing commas in a list, is because the items in your list have commas in them. What does that mean? Let's look at an example. It'll make more sense. In our group was Ravi, comma, a biologist from Colorado, and then instead of putting a comma here, we're using a semicolon to show that one item has been listed and now we're moving on to the next item. Otherwise, it might be unclear where the division of items exists in the sentence. So to continue, in our group was Robbie, a biologist from Colorado, semicolon, Anastasia, a chemist from Arizona, and then our last semicolon, and Bogey, a geologist from California. Sounds like a fun group. So you can see we've got all these commas in here in our list, and to help distinguish between what punctuation is dividing the list and what punctuation is being used to identify a modifying phrase, we're using a semicolon to make it clear. You'll see this too with like addresses or city and states if you're listing those out. But again, this is fairly rare. Okay, especially rare for the GMAT, I should say as well. All right, that is all I have on semicolons. Hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable with this punctuation mark. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. If you really like listening to me talk about GMAT stuff, I encourage you to subscribe to our GMAT channel. And then finally, if you need more help, head over to gmat.magoosh.com where there's all kinds of resources and friendly people to help out. All right, be excellent to the universe.